and we're good to go. Ren's point of view, reactions. We're back on a topic with a different person giving the information. Breaks down the information in this space eloquently. I love the psychological aspect of things. So how people think, what makes them tick. Like the archetype of people. There's some people that are in a box and they got no idea about it, but they think the whole world can't see them. Like, to an extent, we all are. To be fair, we're all main characters in our own story. This one's on narcissists and how and why they see people as NPCs. Let's go.
Narcissists do not exist within this timeline. That's why they don't feel guilt. That's why they don't feel empathy for other people. When you're arguing with a narcissist, you should remember you're arguing with a psychic echo. The reason why narcissists are not in this timeline is because the fracturing of the self and their connection to reality happened in history. It happened in the past. So as they were developing through childhood, there would have been major traumas. Now, when I say major traumas, sometimes the partner of the narcissist will come to me and say, I know what their childhood was like, and there was no major traumas. And I'm like, it's not an objective major trauma as it would be in a film, like they lost their father suddenly in a car crash or something. It's what is traumatic subjectively to the child. And for narcissistic personality disorder, a lot of it won't be dramatic. In fact, I would say most of it probably isn't dramatic, film-worthy. It will be quiet. It will be silent. It may even be hidden, but it matters to the child. Things that the child need, the things that the child needs are not being given to them. And what is being given to them instead is something that's harming them, that's poisoning them. So if you imagine you're a psychologist and you think of a narcissist, you think of somebody with MPD, spread out the timeline of the human being in front of you. If you live in the Western world, you read left to right. So past is on the left and future is on the right because that's the way we read, left to right. Go back into the past, which will be to your left, and look at them between the ages of 0 and 8. There was trauma there that broke them off from reality. So I like sci-fi. Imagine there's a mission that's flying from Earth to another planet, and it has like a timeline, and everybody on the mission is going to go into cryo sleep, and they're going to arrive in 100 years. But the craft goes through a meteor shower at the 10th year out of 100 years, and there's these micrometeors that just shoot through the craft and just wipes out the life support system. And then eventually the craft keeps moving, but what arrives is a craft full of corpses, and they've been corpses for around 90 years. Gross, man. Why do I use myth?
Yeah, I was going to say that. That's crazy.
Stay with me.
That's crazy.
But it helps. It'll help you to remember. The child, the damage that was done early on. And so they are trapped in history. That means they're not really in this timeline. It's almost like they're role-playing in a fictional reality that they don't believe is real. So they're interacting with us in reality like a kid with VR goggles on would if they were role-playing that they were in some sci-fi or horror or military Call of Duty style universe. We are NPCs, which for those of you who don't play video games is non-playable characters. Now look how the term NPC, non-playable character, has flourished in our culture. You can look it up. You can look up how often it's used. There are Google search tools that let you do this. How much it's exploded in usage over the last 10 years. Why? Because people, as they become more narcissistic in a culture that is intrinsically narcissistic, see other human beings as non-playable characters. There's no reverence for them. There's no reverence for other people and no respect for other people's lives and timelines. If you don't serve me, you're essentially an NPC. If you
That's
don't
crazy.
agree with me and you don't give me narcissistic supply, you're just an
But
NPC.
true.
I've written you off. You're basically not it's not that you're not human, like you're a cat or a dog. You don't exist. There's no you don't have an interiority. There's no point of interiority there. That's an NPC. They have no thoughts. They have no feelings. They have nothing. So why can we say that these are emotionally dead time travelers? Because they're still in their timeline, and their timeline is fractured. So your wife, who is treating you awfully, is treating your children awfully, has lost a friend group because she keeps behaving in this awful way. You would say, but she's 47 years old. She's here. I can see her. She's in this timeline. Yes, physically she's in this timeline, but psychically, she's still age 6 in her childhood home, trapped. I don't think even if she wanted to, she doesn't, even if she wanted to, I don't think she could reconnect to this timeline. I think that link, that bridge is permanently broken. Think about mythology for a second. So narcissists must have existed throughout all of human history. It can't just be something that's developed in the last 100 years or so. But if we weren't using psychology before 1890, or whenever Nietzsche declared himself the greatest psychologist to have ever lived, I don't know, probably 1885, something like that. And psychology back in those days was like, alongside mediumship and table knocking and hypnotism and using new exotic drugs to change people's consciousness. Before that time, we didn't have this way of viewing human behavior, so we would use myth. I think about werewolves and vampires. Like, it was the idea of a seeming human being at a certain time of the month when the moon was full, changing into some savage animal that would rip people open, even their loved ones. They wouldn't recognize them. They would just violently tear them apart. Was that a metaphor for people with dissociative identity disorder or borderline personality disorder who have bouts of explosive rage? Or
that's groundbreaking to even think about it as a metaphor. That's groundbreaking. I'm not gonna lie. Psychologically, that's very, 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 very on point.
Narcissists and psychopaths. Vampires interest me, depending on which myth you're following. They're dead. They're dead. That fits with narcissism. They move only by night. So they only move when it's dark. They don't move by day. They don't move in the light of day. They only move in dream time. They only move in deception time. They only move when it's difficult for you to guess their intentions. So movement by dark, if you look at like the tarot, the mythology of the tarot and the meaning of the moon, it's often associated with espionage, assassination, the behavior of the ninja, in feudal Japan, if you know about the ninja assassinations. Instead of fighting people in the field of battle, waving your samurai flag proudly and declaring yourself a member of the Yamamoto clan before being cut in half, you just creep in through the back door at night, open the shoji and poison them. And it was considered as an aberration. It was enormously dishonorable. Look at the fact that vampires sleep in coffins, underground, in a crypt, in a place of the dead. They sleep by day, so they're inverted reality. Narcissistic psychopaths invert reality. They sleep by day and they wake by night. They're in a coffin. That's the place of the dead. So they literally dwell where the dead should dwell. And it's underground and in the dark. So it's backwards in time. So in a sense, it encapsulates the idea. Also, the vampire doesn't age. They're literally trapped in time. And they require your consent in order to enter into your house. And they survive by drinking other people's blood. In some myths, they can give the victim a little bit of their blood to keep them alive, and they create like a familiar in the sense of black magic, or another vampire. That way, they can turn the victim into one of them. They can make the victim, quote unquote, immortal. And I think this is the core fantasy of the narcissist, is not just to not exist in this timeline, But to remain in a fractured timeline.
And dude, it's killing it. Killing it. That's crazy. Let's go.
Where they never die, where they never age, where they are infinite, where they're outside of temporality, they're outside of mortality. They've become something more than human. They're emotionally dead because in their childhood, they've built a narcissistic, fantastical shell around themselves in order to protect themselves. The authentic self dies inside that shell because there's no vulnerability, there's no spontaneity, because there's no negative feedback getting in, because they refuse all negative feedback. The person ceases to grow. They don't mature. They don't have turbulence and bumps in the road. They go, oh shit, I shouldn't really do things like that. Okay, I'm going to change the way I act, change the way I behave, and then have character development. They don't develop moral fiber. They don't develop a moral system because they're encased in the tomb that they want to be in a different timeline. So when we're conversing with them, in a very real sense, they're time traveling. They're traveling from their timeline, where they're still perfect, entombed, encased, safe, into our timeline, and then just hanging out with us for a while. But we are not real to them. We're not really real. The only person, the only human that's really real to them is them. So in a very meaningful sense, they are emotionally dead because you're only communicating with the psychic echo. There is no authentic person there anymore. And they're traveling from their fractured timeline to our timeline. And this is why so much of their behavior is bewildering. And sometimes it's extremely self-destructive. But for them, none of this is really real. None of this is really real, and it pales into comparison to their reality, their profound reality as an addict to narcissistic supply. They never feel as real as they do when they're being worshipped. They never feel as real as they do when the audience is applauding them. The rest, shadows and dust, Maximus. Shadows and dust. Ladies and gents, I have a new course. It is hopefully the last course I ever make. I don't think I'll need to make another one after this. I've set myself no time limits, no restrictions. I've treated it as though I'm doing face-to-face coaching with you. And so if I need to cover a topic and it needs to be covered thoroughly, I take the time to do it. At the moment, I think the course is around 15 hours long. If I need to make amendments afterwards, I reserve the right to do that. I will continue adding to this course for as long as I feel is necessary until I've gone, okay, that's it. That's me. I've said everything I can say about helping people to recover from narcissistic abuse. The course is a total roadmap, a total narcissistic abuse recovery roadmap from beginning, step by step by step by step by step to the end. The syntax of the course has been set carefully. You're going to ask in the comments, can I do this with my therapist? Can I do this with my counselor? Please do. Please do get the assistance of a qualified mental health practitioner, preferably one who has a very good understanding of narcissistic abuse, and they can go through the course with you and they can adapt bits of the course for you. If you do the course, I can't promise that all the problems will go away in a few months. What I would say is a realistic target is that inside of 2 months of working on the course, you would start to feel 80 to 90% better. That's realistic. And you might go, well, that would mean I only have 10% healing to do. Yes, my friends, but that last 10 might be an ongoing journey for the rest of your life. I want you to set your expectations properly. It's a very good course. I'm very happy with it. It's very thorough. It leaves no stone unturned, but it is a course. It's a course we do online. So there's a limit to how much it can actually do. Therapy is going to help as well. If you do these techniques and your therapist takes the techniques and adapts them for you specifically, it's going to be very, very powerful. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much for your time and for your attention, and I look forward to speaking to you again.
That's what I'm talking about. I don't doubt at all that the course is going to be... I'm going to put his details at the bottom of the video. Yeah, that's crazy. Like, he nailed it. Every single point made in there makes perfect sense. Like, um, thank you for watching. I hope you liked it. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And click the link below for further information to the course. I think it'll be. I got a feeling the course will be useful. To be fair.